Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. There's an old song, I don't know where it comes from, but it's, oh, the grass is always greener in the other fellow's yard. The little row we have to hoe, oh boy, that's hard. But if we all could have green glasses now, it wouldn't be so bad. It was something like that. It's an old song. But the idea is that it's over there somewhere. Where I'm at now is not good enough. It's over there somewhere. So that's come up twice now within the last couple of days in different sessions that I've sat in on. And yeah, I mean, the first time it happened, the devotee was like wondering how unlimited Krishna is. He's so unlimited, God. And there's other universes, and the Bhagavatam is being spoken on the higher planets. I wonder what they're saying. Which, that seems, I mean, that's, attracted to Krishna, right? Want to know what's being said on the other planets. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But it's also a trick. That it's over there somewhere. In other words, we're sitting together reading the Bhagavatam that we've been given by our spiritual master. But we want to know what's over there on that other Bhagavatam. See? No, that's not how it works. What's wrong with what we've been given? What's missing? Is there anything missing? No. This is what we've been given, and we take full advantage of it. We're going to experience relationship with Krishna. It's not like, oh, you have to go to some heavenly planet. So the first time it came up, it looked like, well, that's a really good question. Yeah, I wonder what's going... No, I don't wonder. I don't wonder at all. Krishna's right here. So it came up again in another group of devotees, completely different devotees. It came up, and one of the members in that session, again, the same question. Well, if Krishna's unlimited, and there are unlimited incarnations, and the Bhagavad Gita, it's being spoken on other planets, and so the moderator, the person that had, by whose grace everyone else was assembled. So wait a minute, why do you have to go there? You get some mystic powers and go somewhere else to hear Bhagavad Gita. We have Bhagavad Gita right here. Just listen to this one. It's over there somewhere. It's over there. It's not here. Well, this bhakti yoga is the way to have it here. You don't have to go anywhere. It's here. Krishna's here. This devotional science. It's over there somewhere. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It was interesting that the same exact consciousness manifested in both of those sessions recently. It was very interesting. And then I was remembering how, and then they say, well, what are they talking about? They meant talking about something. No, they're talking, it's Krishna. Krishna is Krishna. If he's here and he's there, he's a personality of Godhead. He's consistent wherever he goes because he is an individual with his personality. Hare Krishna. So if Krishna's here, Krishna's here. Ta-da! You don't have to go anywhere. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, but he's unlimited, and I want to know what this... Well, if he's unlimited and he's here, then you have access to Krishna. the unlimited Krishna. It's not that this Krishna is different from the one that you think is over there somewhere. It's the same Krishna. Krishna is Krishna. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the reason that mentality comes is because not actually experiencing a relationship with Krishna in the present moment. So they're thinking that it's over there somewhere. They're separated by distance and time. But distance and time, they disappear when connected with Krishna. Distance and time, no. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare. It's interesting too, Prabhupada compared Krishna to a gingerbread cookie. You know, sometimes they're shaped in the shape of a little man, a gingerbread man cookie. He said, wherever you take a bite, it's the same gingerbread. You bite on the foot, you bite on the arm, you bite on the head. It's the same gingerbread. It's the same taste. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the devotees were, in this other session, they were wondering, well, how is this happening? Because how does Krishna arrange things? Is it because he knows the mentality and the consciousness of someone, and so he sets them up so they'll act the way he wants them to act? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Which is an interesting, it's an interesting insight there to ask that question. It's a good question because Krishna is making all the arrangements. But then it's up to that individual soul to make a decision. Do they want to accept Krishna's arrangement, or do they want to try to make their own arrangement for whatever? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna is making the arrangements. Hare Krishna, but you still have your choice. Do you want to accept Krishna's arrangement, or try to figure something else out? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That was Arjuna's dilemma. Krishna says, look, this is my arrangement. I've arranged this whole scene because I need to get something done here on this planet. These demonic heads of society need to be removed. So I've set this whole thing up now. And then he showed him the universal form where everyone was actually killed. All the demons were being killed, and others too being. So Krishna says, I want you to take the credit. So you do the fighting. I'm already killed everybody. I want you to go through the motions of the killing. I've already killed them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I've already set it up. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So Arjuna, do you accept my arrangement, or do you still want to figure out something else that you're going to do, go to the forest or something? You want to accept my arrangement? Hare, which is all yes. I accept your arrangement, Krishna. All right, I'm on board. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So it comes down to more than just surrendering to God means I accept there is a God. Okay, I surrendered. There is a God. But there's more to it. It's what does he want me to do? What service? I accept God, which means I'm a servant. So what is it? What arrangement is he making? It's very individual and unique for each soul, because the relationship is individual and unique. Well, what does he want me to do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that plays out in the present moment. You look around and, okay, so everything's been arranged by Krishna. So how do I serve Krishna in this situation? Which means, how am I always conscious of Krishna at every moment in the present moment? It's not over there somewhere. It's right here. If we accept that everything is arranged in the present moment by Krishna, then our only task is to always stay in Krishna consciousness. And according to the present moment, where is Krishna? To stay in Krishna consciousness, whatever situation he's arranged. Anyway, it's the best I've been able to do with it. Seems to work, so. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, those are two conversations in those two different groups of devotees where the same type of question came up and the same type of answer was given. The details were a little different. The persons asking the question were completely different entities, different devotees. But Krishna was consistent. The other things were a little bit different. Time, place, and circumstance. Not as dramatic as centuries differences and cultural differences, but it was, according to time, place, and circumstance, a little bit different. Different people involved. The question was asked in a sort of a little different way, but it was really the same question. The same consciousness, like, in order to find out about Krishna more, I need to go over there I want to hear the Bhagavatam on the higher planets, and then I'll know about, no, that's not how you know about Krishna. Krishna is right here. It's not over there somewhere. And when you get over there, then it's like, okay, where did he go? Now he's over there, and you're like all over the place. No, he's right here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. So seeing how that played out in two different groups, at two different times, in two different places, under two different circumstances, the same consciousness. And I'm remembering how the Bhagavatam is actually a conversation within a conversation, it's questions and answers within different groups, in different places, throughout the universe. So it's according to time, place, and circumstance, the things may be a little bit different. The topic comes up. Well, that's how the disciplic succession stays, is that it is different gurus are different. But it's the same Krishna, and it's the same topics, and it's the same discussion. And those discussions very often relate back to another discussion that took place in another millennium, in another part of the universe, which happened to be a discussion that was referencing another discussion that took place in a whole nother millennium and another. So according to time, place, and circumstance, things can be a little different, but it's the same Krishna. Now it's really clear seeing that same type of question come up in two different groups, two different people, two different circumstances, same question and the same answer. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hari Hari Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna. It's interesting because in the Gita also, Krishna himself says, previously I spoke this knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, but it's been lost. Through time, it's gotten distorted and changed. So now I'm speaking it again to you, Arjuna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Same Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama, just different time, place, and circumstances. But same Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Chaitanya, absorbed in the mood of separation from Krishna. Krishna himself, absorbed in the mood of separation from Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare. Okay, well, there's a lot to do today. It's not raining. I do a bunch of stuff outside, but let me take shelter of pastimes of Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Paima. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Paima. Krishna, 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 Krishna. This is chapter 32, summary study of Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, who so incredibly was empowered by Krishna to establish the Hare Krishna movement throughout the world. Got it out of India. Amazing. Hare Krishna. So this is the description of the Rāsa Dance. Now Krishna is 8 years old here, and the girls, they're also quite young. The culture at the time, 5,000 years ago, girls were married at a very early age, and sometimes they even had children when they were like 12 years old. So they're very young, which is actually really good because if you're young like that yourself, you can keep up with the kids. Because babies and children have a lot of energy. So if you're yourself still kind of really young, I mean, you can keep up with them, you know. And the body is healthy and strong, and so the children that are born are also, you know, off to a good start. So the girls actually were married, and they had children. But they were so attracted to the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in his form as a cowherd boy. Hare Krishna. That they wanted him as their husband, even though they're already married. Oh well, Hare Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya. So they've all met in the forest on a very beautiful night with the full moon in the, I believe it's autumn season. While Krishna was enjoying the company of the gopis in the Rāsa Dance, the astonished demigods and their wives gathered in the sky. The moon, being afflicted with a sort of lust, began to watch the dance and became stunned with wonder. The gopis had prayed to the goddess Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. Now Krishna was fulfilling their desire by expanding himself in as many forms as there were gopis and enjoying them exactly as a husband. Srila Shukadev Goswami has remarked that Krishna is self-sufficient. He is Atmarama. He doesn't need anyone else for his satisfaction. Because the gopis wanted Krishna as their husband, he fulfilled their desire. When Krishna saw that the gopis were tired of dancing with him, he immediately began to smear his hands over their faces so that their fatigue would be satiated. In order to reciprocate the kind hospitality of Krishna, the gopis began to look at him lovingly. They were overjoyed by the auspicious touch of the hand of Krishna. Their smiling cheeks shone with beauty, and they began to sing the glories of Krishna with transcendental pleasure. As pure devotees, the more the gopis enjoyed Krishna's company, the more they became enlightened with his glories, and thus they reciprocated with him. They wanted to satisfy Krishna by glorifying his transcendental pastimes. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all masters, and the gopis wanted to worship him for his unusual exhibition of mercy upon them. Both the gopis and Krishna entered the water of the Yamuna just to relieve their fatigue from the Rasa dance. The lily flower garlands around the necks of the gopis were strewn to pieces due to their embracing the body of Krishna, and the flowers were reddish from being smeared with the kumkum on their breasts. The bumblebees were humming about in order to get honey from the flowers. Krishna and the gopis entered the water of Yamuna just as an elephant entered a water tank with his many female companions. Both the gopis and Krishna forgot their real identity, playing in the water, enjoying each other's company, and relieving the fatigue of the Rasa dance. The gopis began to splash water on the body of Krishna, all the while smiling, and Krishna enjoyed this. As Krishna was taking pleasure in the joking words and splashing water, the demigods and the heavenly planets began to shower flowers. The demigods thus praised the super excellent Rasa dance of Krishna, the supreme enjoyer, and his pastimes with the gopis in the water of Yamuna. After this, Lord Krishna and the gopis came out of the water and began to stroll along the bank of the Yamuna, where a nice breeze was blowing, carrying the aroma of different kinds of flowers over the water and land. While strolling on the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna recited various kinds of poetry. He thus enjoyed the company of the gopis in the soothing moonlight of autumn. Sex desire is especially excited in the autumn season. But the wonderful thing about Krishna's association with the gopis is that there was no question of sex desire. It was, as clearly stated in the Bhagavad description by Sukadeva Goswami, Avaruda Sarata, namely, the sex impulse was completely controlled. There is a distinction between Lord Krishna's dancing with the gopis and the ordinary dancing of living entities within the material world. In order to clear up further misconceptions about the Rasa dance and the affairs of Krishna and the gopis, Maharaj Parikshit, the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, told Sukadeva Goswami, Krishna appeared on the earth to establish the regulative principles of religion and to curb the predominance of irreligion, but the behavior of Krishna and the gopis might encourage irreligious principles in the material world. I am simply surprised that he would act in such a way, enjoying the company of others' wives in the dead of night. The statement of Maharaj Parikshit was very much appreciated by Sukadeva Goswami. The answer anticipates the abominable acts of the Mayavadi impersonalists who place themselves in the position of Krishna and enjoy the company of young girls and women. The basic Vedic injunctions never allow a person to enjoy sex with any woman except one's own wife. Krishna's appreciation of the gopis appeared to be distinctly in violation of these rules. Maharaj Parikshit understood the total situation from Sukadeva Goswami, yet to further clear the transcendental nature of Krishna and the gopis in Rasa dance, he expressed his surprise. This is very important in order to check the unrestricted association with women by the Prakrita Sahajya. In his statement, Maharaj Parikshit has used several important words which require clarification. The first word, Jugupshitam, means abominable. The first doubt of Maharaj Parikshit was as follows. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has invented himself to establish religious principles. Why then did he mix with others' wives in the dead of night and enjoy dancing, embracing, kissing? According to the Vedic injunctions, this is not allowed. Also, when the gopis first came to him, he gave instructions to them to return to their homes. To call the wives of other persons or young girls and enjoy dancing with them is certainly abominable, according to the Vedas. Why should Krishna have done this? Another word used here is aptakam. Some may take it for granted that Krishna was very lusty among the young girls. But Parikshit Maharaj said that this was not possible. He could not be lusty. First of all, from the material calculation, he was only 8 years old. At that age, a boy cannot be lusty. Aptakam means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-satisfied. Even if he were lusty, he doesn't need to take help from others to satisfy his lusty desires. The next point is that, although not lusty himself, he might have been induced by the lusty desires of the gopis. But Maharaj Parikshit then used the word Yadupati, which indicates that Krishna is the most exalted personality in the dynasty of the Yadus. The kings in the dynasty of Yadu were considered to be the most pious, and the descendants were also like that. Having taken birth in that family, how could Krishna have been induced, even by the gopis? It is concluded, therefore, that it was not possible for Krishna to do anything abominable. But Maharaj Parikshit was in doubt as to why Krishna acted in that way. What was the real purpose? Another word Maharaj Parikshit used when he addressed Sukadeva Goswami is suvrata, which means to take a vow to enact pious activities. Sukadeva Goswami was an educated brahmachari, and under the circumstances, it was not possible for him to indulge in sex. This is strictly prohibited for brahmacharis, and what to speak of a brahmachari like Sukadeva Goswami. But because the circumstances of the Rāsa dance were very suspect, Maharaj Parikshit inquired for clarification from Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami immediately replied that transgressions of religious principles by the Supreme Controller testify to his great power. For example, fire can consume any abominable thing. That is the manifestation of the supremacy of fire. Similarly, the sun can absorb water from a urinal or from stool, and the sun is not polluted. Rather, due to the influence of sunshine, the polluted, contaminated place becomes disinfected and sterilized. One may also argue that since Krishna is the supreme authority, his activities should be followed. In answer to this question, Sukadeva Goswami has very clearly said that Ishvaranam, or the Supreme Controller, may sometimes violate his instructions. But this is only possible for the controller himself, not for the followers. Unusual and uncommon activities by the controller can never be imitated. Sukadeva Goswami warned that the conditioned followers who are not actually in control should never even imagine imitating the uncommon activities of the controller. A Mayavad philosopher may falsely claim to be God or Krishna, but he cannot actually act like Krishna. He can persuade his followers to falsely imitate Rāsa dance, but he's unable to lift Govardhan Hill. We have many experiences in the past of Mayavad rascals deluding their followers by posing themselves as Krishna in order to enjoy Rasa Leela. In many instances, they were checked by the government, arrested, and punished. In Orissa, Thakur Bhaktivinoda also punished a so-called incarnation of Vishnu who was imitating Rasa Leela with young girls. There were many complaints against him. At that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was magistrate, and the government deputed him to deal with that rascal, and he punished him very severely. The Rasa Leela dance cannot be imitated by anyone. Sukadeva Goswami warns that one should not even think of imitating it. He specifically mentions that if, out of foolishness, one tries to imitate Krishna's Rasa dance, he will be killed, just like a person who wants to imitate Lord Shiva's drinking of an ocean of poison. Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison and kept it within his throat. The poison made his throat turn blue, and therefore Lord Shiva is called Nilakant. But if any ordinary person tries to imitate Lord Shiva by drinking poison or smoking ganja, he is surely to be vanquished and will die within a very short time. Lord Sri Krishna's dealings with the gopis was under special circumstances. Most of the gopis in their previous lives were great sages, expert in the study of the Vedas, and when Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Ramachandra, they wanted to enjoy with him. Lord Ramachandra gave them the benediction that their desires would be fulfilled when he would appear as Krishna. Therefore, the desire of the gopis to enjoy the appearance of Lord Krishna was long cherished. So they approached Goddess Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. There are many other circumstances also which testify to the supreme authority of Krishna and show that he is not bound to the rules and regulations of the material world. In special cases, he acts as he likes to favor his devotees. This is only possible for him because he is the supreme controller. People in general should follow the instructions of Lord Krishna as given in the Bhagavad Gita and should not even imagine imitating Lord Krishna in the Rāsa Dance. Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill, his killing great demons like Putana and others, are all obviously extraordinary activities. Similarly, the Rāsa Dance is also an uncommon activity and cannot be imitated by any ordinary man. An ordinary person engaged in his occupational duty, like Arjuna, should execute his duty for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is within his power. Arjuna was a fighter, and Krishna wanted him to fight for his satisfaction. Arjuna agreed, although at first he was not willing to fight. Duties are required for ordinary persons. They should not jump up and try to imitate Krishna and indulge in Rasa Leela and thus bring about their ruin. One should know with certainty that Krishna has no personal interest in whatever he did for the benediction of the gopis. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Namam karmani limpanti, Krishna never enjoys or suffers the result of his activities. There it is not possible for him to act irreligiously. He is transcendental to all activities and religious principles. He is untouched by the modes of material nature. He is the supreme controller of all living entities, either in human society, in the demigod society, in heavenly planets, or in lower forms of life. He is the supreme controller of all living entities of material nature. Therefore, he has nothing to do with religious or irreligious principles. So Krishna is the supreme controller. I just read something that set off something here. Krishna, he's the supreme controller. He's also the supreme enjoyer. So what is Krishna's pleasure? If he was self-satisfied and he was simply engaging with the gopis to make them happy because it was their desire, the next reasonable conclusion is that Krishna's pleasure is to see the devotees happy and enjoying. That's what makes him happy. That is his pleasure, not that he's enjoying with girls, haha. No. He was happy to please their desire. That's what pleased him. To please them. That makes sense, because Krishna's pleasure potency is expanded from him. Ultimately, Radharani. Hello, who's there?
Yes, ma'am. Is Ricky with Massey?
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, can you go around the little trailer too? Don't forget.
Yes, ma'am. I sure will.
Appreciate it. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So his pleasure I mean, that when you look at his appearance as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how is he enjoying? He wants to know what his devotee is experiencing in relationship to him. So he's the supreme enjoyer. That's his pleasure, that his devotees are feeling pleasure in relationship to him. That's what makes him happy. Hare Krishna. That's what gives him pleasure. So it makes sense if somebody tries to imitate Krishna by thinking that Krishna's enjoying by exploiting or using, they're not getting it. No, they'll bring ruin on themselves because that's not what's going on. Hare Krishna. Tricky stuff, huh? Hare Krishna. That's how he's the supreme enjoyer. And his pleasure potency is actually expanded from himself. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Wow. Krishna. And it kind of makes your head spin even trying to think about this stuff. Woo woo! Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Sukadev Goswami further concludes that the great sages and devotees who are washed clean of all conditional life can move freely even with the contamination of material nature by keeping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within their hearts. In this way also they do not become subject to the laws of pleasure and pain in the modes of material nature. How then is it possible for Krishna, who appears in his own internal potency, to be subjected to the laws of karma? In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord clearly says that whenever he appears, he does so by his internal potency. Pleasure potency, internal potency. He's not forced to accept a body by the laws of karma like an ordinary living entity. Every other living entity is forced to accept a certain type of body by his previous actions. But when Krishna appears, he always appears in a body. He is not forced. It is not forced upon him by the action of his past deeds. His body is a vehicle for his transcendental pleasure, which is enacted by his internal potency. He has no obligation to the laws of karma. The Mayavadi monist must accept a certain type of body, being forced by the laws of nature. Therefore, his claim to be one with Krishna or God is only theoretical. Such persons who claim to be equal with Krishna and indulge in Rāsa Leela with their mistaken idea of how Krishna is enjoying Rāsa Leela create a dangerous situation for the people in general. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is already present as Super Soul within the bodies of the gopis and their husbands. He is the guide of all living entities, as is confirmed in Katha Upanishad. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanana. The Super Soul directs the individual soul to act, and the Super Soul is the actor and witness of all action. Krishna, Krishna. And the Super Soul is expanded from Chiradakshai Vishnu, who is expanded from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is expanded from Karanadakshai Vishnu, who is expanded from Shankarshan and the Chatra Vyuha, who is expanded from Krishna. Balaram. They're all expanded from Balaram. If I've got that right. It's just kind of like this telescopic, when you, the telescope. And Shiradakshai Vishnu is within this universe. He's not actually within this universe. He's He's here, but he's not here because he's always transcendental. But his residence is on Svetadweep, and there's an ocean of milk. Someday I hope it's revealed to me where all that milk is coming from. But he's in this ocean of milk, and it's actually located within the universe somewhere. Inscriptions in the fifth canto. If I really get motivated, I'll take a look at that fifth canto. I think it's part 1. Wow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. There you go. Bhagavati. Hare Krishna.